Hello, everyone. This is Zami Eccles-Irwin from FilmFestivalCircuit.com and the director of the Portland Comedy Film Festival. Right now, we are gearing up for our winter 2026 event, which is going to take place on February 1st at the beautiful, historic Clinton Street Theater in Portland, Oregon. And in preparation for our event, we are talking with some of our participating filmmakers and screenwriters. Today, we are talking with Will Donahue, who is the writer behind the screenplay Frankenstoner. Will, thanks for talking with me, man.
Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
Uh, Frankenstoner is it's a crazy screenplay, man. It's a crazy concept. There's crazy characters. It's incredible. It's funny. It's wild. What inspired you to make this?
So this one was an interesting one for me. Typically, I just write my own material, my own ideas. I had actually written a horror film that's now streaming called The Mummy Murders, and on set we had an extra. And after the shoot, the extra came up to me, and his name is Johnny Amos, one of the funniest people I ever met in my life. And he said, "Hey, man, I like your style. I like what you write." And he pitched me this concept about a stoner comedy about Frankenstoner. And he wasn't a writer, and he wanted me to help him get this thing done. And as soon as he
Okay.
pitched it, I didn't even hesitate. I was like, "Man, that is funny." And I could, there's so many ways to explore it. And so, yeah, collaboration mainly spurred this idea.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, so you were on the set for a different thing you wrote, and someone who was a part of that came to you with this premise, and then you took that and you turned that into the screenplay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, this is great because this is, the Frankenstein from Bride of Frankenstein when he says "smoke good," taken to the umpteenth degree. I
Right.
love that. Well, tell me a little bit about your writing process. Are you someone who gets the structure out first and then fills it in, or do you kind of let the characters tell you what's going on and then you etch it into a structure at the end? What's your process like?
So it varies on projects. When I first started writing, I would just free write, you know,
Okay.
and then you learn and you get more experienced and you go to school. And over time, I've really developed a habit of plotting out, where I want things to go before I dig in too deep, figure out the
Okay.
beats I want to hit, figure out the best angle to go from A to B. But sometimes it just depends on what that project looks like in your head at the time. If it's something that if it's a dream or a thought and all of a sudden it just comes together quickly, then yeah, I can free write. And then once I've um, written everything down, I can explore it more and break it down. But typically at this point in my career, I plot things out a lot more than I used to.
Okay. Totally. Well, I mean, that's great. You have your trajectory. You can go in there and explore within that bounds. You're trying to go from A to B. You know what B is, and you can fill it out and kind of figure it out within that confine. I think that's great. There's two different styles, man. I mean, there
Mm.
is that let's plot it and then fill it in, and there's the I'm just gonna write and then turn it into something, move it around. But I mean, it seems like it's almost freeing to have that end point in mind, have the plot points etched out, and then you can just sort of explore inside of that. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Definitely. I mean, I've written so many different projects, and I used to get writer's block so often, you know, and
Totally.
I was like, man, I got this idea in mind, and then I hit it, and I think the writing's great, and then I'm like, well, what next? You know, but figuring out those beats and knowing where I'm going has alleviated so much writer's block for me.
Okay.
You know, it's maybe different for other people, but yeah, by doing that, it helps me produce a lot more quicker.
Excellent. I mean, I think that's a very interesting insight and great advice. I mean, someone who could be experiencing writer's block, maybe take a step back and look at the macro, look at the big picture. That might help you. I think
Yeah.
that's a great way to look at it. Tell me a little bit about the characters. Of course, you have Frankie, who
Mhm.
is, I don't know, naive and charming and a stoner and incredible, but there are no foils in this. I feel like everyone's kind of nuanced, kind of developed. Tell me a little bit about how you approach these characters. These people you know, are these purely, drawn from your own insight? What's it like?
Well, it's a little bit. I guess it's different for each character. Johnny had so many great insights on characters and where he wanted to go, and then we were constantly, adding characters or taking them away. So Igor, for example, Igor to me, when I was writing him, was kind of like uh, uh, a parent who didn't want to be a parent. He was
Okay.
part of this creative process. He created something, but didn't want to have much to do with it. But he kind of he forgets that when you bring something into the world, it's its own thing. It wants and it needs
Right.
to develop and be its own person. But at the beginning, Igor just wanted to get him back to the castle. He's like didn't want anything to do with him. He's a hassle. But then he grew to love him. I think Frankie's a lovable character, and
Totally.
Igor wasn't a parent, but in a sense, he kind of grew to be one. He
Kind
realized
of
that
became
he
one, yeah.
was on that role. Yeah,
Well, I love that. I mean, yeah, that's the kind of development that makes this thing thrust forward. It's a little bit over the top, and it's got this momentum, but it's got a little bit of heart to it. And I mean, the story of Frankenstein is one of you're rooting for Frankenstein's monster, absolutely, and to see him in more relatable context is great. Tell me, when you're writing this, do you have a filmed product in mind? Are you thinking a visual style? Are you thinking about musical beats? Or is it for you purely on the page?
um, well, it's been hard to contain myself to purely on the page.
Okay,
Obviously, when you write, you have a vision of what you want, and you want to include camera angles and close-ups. You want to direct from the page, but obviously that's a no-no. So you got to kind of contain
right.
yourself. But yeah, I mean, I think the more of the final product you have visualized on screen, I think it creates better, more interesting writing. You know,
Totally.
That's important for me.
I mean, because you're accessing something specific. It's not just, oh, it could be this or that. If you're writing with a specific aesthetic in mind, it's things are gonna lead up to that. It's gonna all kind of unify itself.
Absolutely. When
Um, well, what are some of your inspirations? What's behind this for you?
inspirations of the project or my writing
Yeah,
in general? This project,
yeah,
obviously, creature, classic monster movies.
totally.
You want that element of a fear and the unknown, but we kind of wanted to write it in a way where it was sort of Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle or some kind of buddy comedy. You're
Totally.
mashing something iconic and serious into something that's kind of absurd and contemporary. You know what I mean? You want the modern day to like it, so you're blending genres, and the stoner angle kind of just gave us permission to be super silly and
Totally.
sneak in a surprisingly lovable human story underneath it.
Very relatable way. I mean, the thing about Harold and Kumar is, uh, these guys are just sort of us. There are screen equivalents. Well, I love the blending of that universal horror cycle, which is so stylized. We love those monsters. They look a certain way. I can picture, the VHS cover to all these, and then have that, a very relatable, very fun, very, in a way, kind of wholesome buddy comedy aspect. I mean, ultimately, I would say it's a wholesome screenplay that you wrote. There's something very human, and I don't know. You want Frankie to succeed. You want that to be good. I really like that. Well, tell me, what did you learn from this process? I mean, you wrote an entire feature screenplay. What did you learn from this?
From this one in particular, I would say, like I said, collaboration.
Okay,
Learn to collaborate because um, as a writer, you, writing can be so monotonous, and not droll, but boring. It's what I want to
yeah,
do in my life, and I love it, and I'm going to be doing it for the rest of my life, and it's my favorite thing to do. But it gets lonely, It's
for
great to
sure.
have a writing partner or a story development partner where you can bounce things off of. Um, and Johnny was a great collaborator, is a great collaborator, and also a little bit of restraint. Uh,
Okay,
we there were so many ideas that we wanted to throw into this thing, and originally we did previous drafts. We had a lot of slapstick stuff in there, a lot of
Okay.
things that were super funny, but didn't necessarily have to do with character development. So we tried to dial it down to where every joke served either the character or the story,
Okay,
and
totally.
wasn't just shock value, even though we threw a lot of that in there. But yeah, overall, I would say this project was a great teacher on collaboration and restraint.
Well, I love that, man. I mean, I love hearing that from independent screenwriters and filmmakers because that is the whole point to this art form. And a lot of people come from other art forms where it's just solo, and it's eye opening and sometimes kind of hard to give way to other people's opinions and their creative output.
Right.
Um, but tell me this, man. Now that you've had this experience writing with a collaborator, someone you can bounce ideas off, and who can read your screenplay and give you tips, can you ever go back? I mean, does the solo process is that viable for you now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
Okay.
it's it's my process. I mean, this is what I do all day, every day. I
Okay.
have so many projects across genres and formats. I'm working on finishing my 15th feature. I've got
Oh
about
man.
40 shorts. Um, I'm trying to dig into TV pilots. I've got 2 TV pilots, I'm trying to shop around.
Okay.
So yeah, there's not always gonna be somebody there. Um, and a lot of times, collaboration isn't always the answer. A lot of people have ideas and stories, and while they enjoy feedback and this and that, uh, these are your stories. You love them, and they're personal to you,
Right.
and
It's
you
your
just gotta
tone.
get 'em
It's your
down and
idea.
sit and work and get them written so they can be made.
Absolutely. Well, okay. I think that's. I mean, you're a career writer, and that's
Yeah,
the kind of insight you'd get from someone who has to sit there and hit pen on paper. That's your bread and butter. That's your lifeblood. So,
right,
collaborator's nice, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna get it done.
right.
Uh, you kind of hinted at some projects. Is there anything you can talk about? I'd love to hear what you're working on. Is there anything you can kind of give us some little sneak peeks into?
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff, in the works. The main thing right now, I wrote a biopic about my dad, who
Okay.
is
Oh,
a, Hall of Fame country musician, and,
cool. Okay.
because of his career progression, he wasn't always around. Our
Right.
relationship kinda, um dwindled over the years, but we came back together after my time in the military, and I wanted to tell his story and how he got to where he is and how it affected his life, and it kind of um, it conveys the issues that a lot of artists have, whether you're a
Mm,
musician or a filmmaker or a painter. You pursue this goal, and it affects everything around you. And sometimes it turns out great, sometimes it doesn't. But this is more of a family drama with a heartfelt ending, and then really
is it a
just
feature?
it's a feature. Yeah,
Okay, right on.
and I just moved to San Diego like a month ago.
Okay, well,
So it's great to be around around LA, stuff where a
totally.
film is actually happening. I'm
Yes.
currently trying to shop some of these ideas around and get an agent or a manager. That's the same old story of every writer,
Yes, but
trying to
you've
get
got a
projects.
lot of great product under your belt. I feel like that's a great place to start, you know?
For sure, yeah, yeah, I appreciate it,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah. In the meantime, I've got a bunch of shorts that I'm getting with friends. We're developing those. A lot easier to create shorts and show them to the
Totally.
world.
And
So
would you, for the shorts, do you have plans on potentially filming these yourself or getting a crew together and doing an independent, production?
both actually.
Okay.
I've filmed a couple myself, but I'm not much of an editor, I gotta say.
That's
I've spent
yeah,
so much time either
niche.
writing or learning to write that learning everything, directing and
Yeah.
editing, it takes time. So
A good editor is really incredible. The way that
yeah,
they transform, footage, is unreal to me, and, yeah,
yeah,
worth investing in.
makes or breaks a film,
Yes,
just like
totally.
audio. And I've met so many great people along the way that are so
Awesome.
skilled in their areas, that it's almost a shame to force myself to make a product where I can get my friends in there to help me edit or something like that, and we can all be part of a team, and the product is just that much more better.
Oh,
That'd be
absolutely,
great.
man. Well, that's great. I mean, that goes back to just finding your team, finding your diehards who are great at editing, great at sound mixing, whatever, and kind of relying on their creative output. It's the final product's going to look a little different, and it's going to be better for that reason. Having everyone's involvement. That's great, and I love the idea of that biopic, man. I love Nashville by Robert Altman, sort of touching on that. Country music session player scene. I would love to see something else in that vein. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep my eye open.
it's really great. I got a meeting. I'm flying into Texas next month,
Oh,
and
excellent.
we're gonna meet with my producer and a director, and see if we can't get this ball rolling. So
That's awesome. Well, keep me posted on that because I love to see that. But Frankenstoner, in the meantime, is it's funny, it's creative, it's excellent, it's very well written. Is there
thank
anything else you'd like to add about Frankenstoner?
you. You know, I'm just excited for everybody to see it. I think everybody's going to be excited about it. I think that people are going to be happy, and it's not a waste of time for sure. It's like you said. I think it's original. It's something different.
Totally.
And even if you're not part of the comedy community or the stoner community or anything, it's just so much more than that. You know.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate you having me on here, and I appreciate your feedback. And I'm looking forward to the festival.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, man. Thank you for talking to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on February 1st at the Portland Comedy Film Festival, Clinton Street Theater. It's going to be a great time. And yeah, thanks, man. I'm looking forward to seeing all the projects you come up with
Thank you very
and,
much.
in the meantime. So take care,
All
man. I'll see you
right.
around.
See you soon.
Peace.
Bye.